welcome to the Wundef show. We are here in Obuase and we are going to talk to Marian Gifty Mensah, the CEO of Mensah Couture. Good evening, Marian.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you too?
Yeah, I'm also doing great. You have a very nice office here.
Thank you.
So how long have you been into sewing?
I've been into sewing for about 12 years, including part-time.
Okay.
Yeah. So full-time, it's almost 2 years.
Full-time, 2 years of sewing.
Yeah.
So for the past 12 years, that means 10 years ago, you were into sewing, but it wasn't full-time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some schooling and working alongside.
Okay.
Whilst I was preparing myself.
Okay.
At the background.
Mensah Couture, what does it mean? Or what does the Mensah stand for?
Okay, Mensah is the combination of Marian, the M-A of Marian.
Okay.
Gifty for the G, and then M-E-N-S for the Mensah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mensah Couture. Yeah. And what does a couture mean?
Couture is solely about fashion.
Is it a French word?
Yeah, it's a French word.
French word for fashion.
Yeah, for expensive fashion.
Expensive fashion.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Marian, where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Obuase, New Estates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you have your education?
I started from St. International, then from there to the St. Louis Secondary School in Kumasi.
Okay.
Then further to Takoradi Polytechnic, then finally to the University of Cape Coast.
So, when did you start going into fashion?
It was right after secondary school.
Okay.
Actually, when I was growing up, I loved drawing. I had passion for drawing, and due to that, I had it in mind that I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
But my idea of a fashion designer was somewhat, sort of a fashion illustrator.
Okay.
I thought as a fashion designer, that's what I was going to be.
Okay.
But my dad gave me the advice that if I should learn the sewing in addition to the drawing, it will help. Okay. So actually, when I went to the secondary school, I pursued visual arts.
Visuals, okay.
With 9 ones.
Wow.
Even at that time, we were doing 10 subjects.
What were your electives?
Then, at the secondary school,
yes.
We have this general knowledge in arts.
Okay.
We have textiles.
Textiles.
Yes.
Okay.
We have graphic design.
Okay.
And then literature.
Literature.
Those were my electives.
Your electives.
Yeah.
So even at SHS, you knew you wanted to become a fashion designer?
Even before that.
Even before that?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like things couldn't go on well and you decided that, okay, let me go into fashion design?
No. You know, when I was at St. because of that gift of drawing in me, I used to watch these fashion shows, beauty pageants and all those stuff. So when I see them catwalking that design,
you loved it.
I loved it, and because of the passion for drawing too, I told myself that wow, why don't I do something like this? Because I used to sketch my own style to seamstress to sew for me. But when you take it to them, they do something else.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I have this gift of creating my own styles. So why should I give the sketch that I have done to someone to do it for me and then end up ruining my design?
Okay.
So, well, I just told myself that, well, from that time, I'll have to pursue fashion design when I grow up.
So, when did you sew your first design, your own?
That was after SS.
SHS?
Yes.
Okay.
It was then SSS.
SSS, yes. yes, SSS.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what was it? What did you sew?
I made a straight dress.
Okay.
Yeah.
For yourself or for someone?
For myself.
Okay.
And it feels good when you wear your own garment.
Okay.
It's for the first time. You know, you always give your item to people to sew for you. And this is something you've always dreamed of.
Okay.
So if you're able to achieve that dream, it gives you so much inner joy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So after SHS, did you do any practical work on your sewing before you furthered to the Polytechnic?
Yeah, what happened was when I completed SS, even when I was there, I had it in mind that no matter what happened, I was going to go to the Polytechnic first before I go to the university, because they are good in the practical aspects. But because I didn't have any idea about sewing based on the visual art background, I just decided to go under a short period of training so that I will have some idea about how the sewing is when I was waiting for my results. So I did that within, it was about 6 months or so.
6 months, where?
And I was able to sew my own thing. There's this woman at Amangwase. Yeah, she helped me. And this idea was from my dad anyway.
So your dad, from the onset, your dad supported your idea of becoming a fashion designer?
Yes, he really did a great job. He did a great job. And you know, I remember some time ago when I was a kid, when I was a child, he used to buy me coaster colors, sketch pads. Sometimes I could even go and sit somewhere, a bar with some drawings on it, and I'll be sketching whatever is there. People will be passing and they will be like, hey, wow, you can draw like that? A small girl like you? You know, so from there, he was in support of it. And I believe he is part of my success.
What course did you learn at the Polytechnic?
That was fashion design.
Fashion design?
Yeah.
For 3 years?
For 3 years.
Okay. So whilst you were there, were you also practicing when you come to the house? Yes,
even when I was in school. I was practicing when I was in school. When I come home for vacations, I did the same thing.
So were you sewing for people, for money?
Yes. Even during that time, I was sewing for people for money. When we reopened, I just go back to school. And that was really supporting me financially. Yeah.
We are here in Obuasi and we are still watching the Wundef show. We are having a very wonderful conversation with Marian Gifty Mensah, the CEO of Magmen's Couture. Let's go for a short break. We'll be back soon. We are still here with Marian Gifty Mensah, the CEO of Magmen's Couture. And we started with your early life and how you became a fashion designer. So could you remember the first person you sewed clothes for and how the reaction was?
Yeah, I can remember. That was for my sister, and she is Doris Watma, and she was really surprised I could do something like that, and she loved it.
At what stage was that? Were you still at SHS Polytechnic, or you had completed?
No, I was about to enter into the Polytechnic.
So you had not even entered into the Polytechnic? What's the first time you sewed a shirt for somebody or you made a dress for somebody for money?
That was when I entered into the... before I entered into the Polytechnic. So
you started making something small before you entered?
Yeah. When I was learning, I remember I could make some for friends, take money.
Did you have a sewing machine or you bought it from somebody?
I had a sewing machine.
When did you get that sewing machine?
When I was learning. You know, I told you the period I was waiting for my results from the secondary school. I went into that training. Yeah. So that was when I bought the machine and then I was sewing. So
did you take that machine to school or it was reserved at the house?
I bought a new one because at the Polytechnic we were using electric machine. Yeah, by that time I was using the hand sewing machine. Yes.
Okay, that's great. So, after Polytechnic, you said you were not doing it full time.
Yeah.
Why?
I know after the Polytechnic, I started my national service.
Okay.
So when I was done with the national service, I worked for some time at home. That one, it wasn't with any company or something. I was
Okay.
just sewing at home, trying to set up. But I realized there was some challenges there. So I just made up my mind that I wanted to work somewhere and then combine the sewing to it so that I can save some money to establish myself.
What was the biggest challenge at that time? Because if you have completed Polytechnic, you were a trained fashion designer.
Yeah.
And because of some challenges, you were still in the house. What challenge was preventing you from starting your own business at that time?
Financial.
Financially?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was working, even when I was doing the national service, I was still working from home.
Yeah, so
I work before I go to work. I wake up at dawn, do something before I go to work. When I come back, when I finish doing my chores, I go back to the sewing.
You did national service for 1 year.
Yeah.
The other remaining 9 years, what were you doing? Because you said for 10 years you were doing it part-time.
Yeah.
So for the remaining 9 years, what were you doing?
The 9 years, as I said, I started working. And I also told you
What kind of work?
I was with the municipal assembly.
Okay.
Yeah. I worked with a presiding member at that
Okay.
time.
Okay.
And then I worked at the National Service Secretariat.
Okay. All in Obuasi.
Yes.
Okay.
And then with Shraj.
Okay.
Too.
So over the 10-year period,
And then
you were working.
I went to university.
You went back to
All
university.
within that period. So whilst I was working, I was preparing myself financially for my education
Okay.
and to also establish.
And what course were you going to do at university again?
That one was Bachelor of Education in Clothing and Textile in the same field.
So there is a Bachelor of Education, including.
Yes.
What do? You teach people how to sew?
Yeah, that's what they teach at the secondary school,
Okay.
what we call Clothing and Textile.
So that means you could teach fashion design at the secondary school?
Yes,
Okay.
and you can also teach at the Polytechnic as well.
How many years did you spend at the university?
Because of the HND, I had to
Okay.
spend 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
But normal time was supposed to be 4 years.
Yes.
Okay. So right after the 10-year period of part-time, you decided to go into full-time.
Yes.
What changed?
Well, I had always wished to establish on my own.
Okay.
That was my main motive for going to the university to polish up. I remember when I went to for an interview before they admitted me at the university. They asked me why I came. Then I said, I want to come there to further my education in order to establish on my own. Okay. And they told me they don't train people to be entrepreneurs.
They train you to go and work.
To teach.
To teach people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the Bachelor of Education.
Okay.
But I knew what I wanted to achieve. So I just decided to pursue whatever I wanted to do.
Okay.
And when I was done, I realized that, I had spent so much in the education. So why don't I work for some time? And then still combining the municipal and then the sewing privately. Okay. So I saved for a while. And then it got to a time I had that zeal to fully move and then leave the job and then establish on my own. But I told myself that, come on, taking this risk is something, but I need to do it. This is what I love doing. This is where my passion is. And for me, whatever step I decided to take in life, I leave it, pray about it, take that step, leave it to God. Okay. And then miracles happen. Okay. Even when I was going to school, I remember I was the same financial difficulty. I
At
had
the
saved,
university?
yeah, I had saved, but still going there, leaving my job, going
You
there
went full time.
was a challenge. But I pray to God that God, if it is your will that you provide for me and cater for me throughout the education,
Okay.
God, let me get the admission, and I know you're going to see me through. I got the admission, I left, got there, and I was through after the 3 years.
Wow.
So that brings me to that point. When I was at the municipal assembly, I was still praying about having that confidence to leave and then establish on my own.
Okay.
So I told God that, God, this is my intention, but it looks like the financial aspect is on another problem again. And you've seen me through all these years, so just do something. So I went to work one day. This is something most people don't know. And I like to use this platform to bring it out.
Okay.
What happened was I was at the office one day and I received a letter. On the letter was termination of appointments. I said, wow, what have I done
At
wrong?
the point you were thinking of starting
Yes.
on your own?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I received the letter, I was like, what have I done wrong? So let me read further. I read further and in the letter, they don't have enough money to pay for the workers. So they had to terminate appointment.
So that means at that point you had no other choice.
Yeah. But because I was combining the two,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Besides, you'll be surprised that as a graduate from the university, I was taking 200 Ghana cedis
A month.
at that time.
Working at the assembly.
Yeah.
And,
But out of that, I was able to save.
And how much more were you also making from the sewing? You know, you said you were doing part-time in the house.
Yeah.
Before you go to work. Considering the salary you were taking from the municipal assembly and the monies you were getting around, you know, your home sewing for people, what was the difference? Was it something you believed could survive you if you stop work at the assembly?
Yeah, that one was better.
The one you
The one I was
house.
getting from the house.
Okay.
Because I could save some from that and then save what I even earned at the municipal assembly.
Okay.
Without touching it.
Okay.
So it's all about management. If you're able to manage what you have and you want to achieve with determination, you want to achieve something, you can do everything that you want to do.
How did you end up at the Joy Fashion Guru Sewing Bee?
Interesting question. What happened was I saw this advert on TV, that's Joy Prime, and I had been watching Project Runway, which was by the foreigners.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a sewing competition. So whenever I watched it, I had this feeling that, hey, I wish they bring something like this in Ghana, so that at least I can participate for the world to see what I have in me and what I'm capable of doing, to give me that exposure. So when I saw the adverts, I was like, wow, and why don't I give it a try? So I called the number they gave out and I was called to go to Accra. Initially, when they interviewed me, can you do it? I said, yes, I can do it. All the way from Obuasi, I said, yes, I can.
Were they going to house you or you were going to take care of your own housing?
Our own housing.
Okay.
And these are all parts of the challenges. But because of determination, I had to get there.
So it was weekly?
Yeah, every Sunday. What happened was when they will give you a date, every Sunday, they paired 2 designers to compete. They give you a task. Then you do whatever you are supposed to do. Then they select the winner out of that. Okay. So it's not like every Sunday that I was supposed to be there.
Maybe if you are paired against this fashion designer for this week, it might take about 3 weeks
Yes.
before you return.
Yeah.
That
That's
means
how it
but
was.
after they pick the winners, then they pair the winners
Yes.
also. Okay. How many fashion designers did you compete with?
24.
I mean, those you competed one-on-one with.
One-on-one, there were 2, and then the finals, we were 3.
Okay.
So I went for the first one, and I was paired with another winner for the semi-final.
All right.
And then we
the
went
final.
for the finals.
All right. So that was 3 rounds.
Yes.
At that time, were you still working at the assembly, or you had left the assembly?
I had left the assembly. That one, I was working at home.
At home?
Yes.
But it was full-time?
Yes, I was solely into the sewing.
Okay.
So you see how God works.
Yeah, of
If
course.
I had been there, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity.
How did the Joy FM exposure help your business?
It's really helped people to know
Okay.
what I'm capable of doing, my creativity. And when I was at the assembly, most people didn't know I was even a fashion designer.
Okay.
But when they saw me on TV, even my mates at the secondary school, they were surprised, like, hey, I didn't know you could sew. Then you see people, then they'll be asking, hey, when did you learn sewing? So because we knew you to be at the municipal assembly, and nothing shows. Though I was sewing for some clients there, only those who knew that I could sew was able to testify. But others, when they see me around going to work, coming home, they never knew I could sew. A lot of people came. You know, people will come, hey, I saw this lady on TV. I learned she's in Obuasi. Even outside Obuasi, they come here. You know, so for people outside Kumasi, Accra, even outside the country. You know.
You sew for people outside the country. Wow. And when did you leave your home office?
That was 2017.
That's 2 years ago.
Yes.
And then you go to a first shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is my first shop.
This is your first shop. So how many people did you start with?
Yeah, you know, I started with a worker and then 2 apprentices here in the shop.
A worker?
Yes.
Okay, someone who was also a fashion designer?
Not full a fashion designer per se, but she had some skills in sewing.
So what was she doing?
Stitching.
Stitching.
So
okay.
I do the creative aspect.
Okay.
So I'm the creative director here.
Okay.
And I give the work. I do the cutting out for her to do the stitching.
Currently, how many apprentices do you have?
I have 16.
16.
Yeah.
In your second year?
Almost 2 years now.
Okay.
I'll be 2 years in July.
Okay. And how long do they have to study here before they can become independent or go out on their own?
It's supposed to be a maximum of 3 years.
Maximum?
Yeah.
So after 3 years, you release them all?
Yeah. What happens is that we know as humans, we all have our capability.
Okay.
You know, someone is faster in learning. Others too are a bit slow. Sometimes you have to have patience in training them. So when it's 3 years, and I realize that I need more time to help you achieve what you came for, then you have to stay.
Okay.
Then I polish you up before you go out.
Do you have some popular clients you might want us to know?
Yes, Nana Mama Brown.
Okay, your favorite suit for her?
Yes, I have. And I've sewn for Nanekia Ohinedu.
Okay.
The owner of
Lip Schools.
Yes. Gifty Auntie and Kobe of Multimedia.
Oh, okay, Multimedia.
Yeah, that's Joy Prime.
Okay.
Yes, I've sewn for several.
And
just to mention but a few.
Other fashion shows you have been involved in?
Okay, I went for the Accra Fashion Week. That was
year?
2016.
Okay.
And then recently, I went for Wear Ghana fashion show
Okay.
at the National Theatre.
Okay.
And I was the only fashion designer from Ashanti region
The whole of Ashanti
that was
region?
chosen.
Okay.
And recently, I went for Kumasi Fashion Week at Kumasi City Mall.
Okay.
And then last year, Kumasi Fashion Week at the Kumasi City Mall. And I also went for a fashion show at Enyinem in the Eastern region.
Okay.
And I was the only fashion designer chosen for that show.
Chosen from where?
GTP.
Okay.
It was a GTP depot.
Okay.
Yeah, that they were inaugurating.
So you were the only fashion designer?
I was the only fashion designer chosen to exhibit
okay.
the designs.
Designs, okay.
Yeah.
So what is your motivation behind this sewing thing? Because it seems that means you could have even been a teacher in one secondary school, senior high school, teaching people fashion design, but you decided to become an entrepreneur. What is your motivation?
My passion
It's
for fashion.
Okay.
My passion for fashion.
So if you see people wearing your designs, it makes you feel so happy.
Yeah, it's given me so much joy.
Okay.
You know, that satisfaction behind it.
Okay.
That at least I've made someone happy. I've put in a smile in somebody's face.
Okay.
And then get good feedbacks from them and like, wow, glory be to God.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Going international.
Wow. You are still watching the Wundef show, and we are here with Marian Gifty Mensah, the CEO of Men's Couture. Let's go for another short break and we'll be back soon. You are watching the Wundef show. I'm here with Marian Gifty Mensah, the CEO and the creative director for Men's Couture.
Yeah.
Now, you've been running this for almost 2 years now, and you have 16 apprentices. Yeah. Now, the question is, upon meeting these people who come here to learn, what do you see is their major reason why they are coming to learn? Because, you know, initially, when somebody goes to school, is about to complete GHS and doesn't pass, or somebody completes GHS and doesn't pass, then we say, okay, then go into sewing. We just throw them out into sewing, as if sewing is for people who are not be able to make it in life or who are not academically inclined. What have you seen to be the major motivation for the people, the apprentices who are coming to study under you?
What I've realized about them is most of them have completed SS.
Okay.
Yeah, and I even have people here who have completed tertiary.
That's good.
You know, because of the show I did,
okay.
I was like a role model to most of them, because they realized that fashion designing is no more for fashion school dropouts.
Okay.
Most people have that perception. So when they realize that as a woman, I've gotten to that level and I've been able to achieve a dream like this, they didn't bother coming. And when they come here to be able to achieve what they were looking for. I remember when I completed SHS and I was learning that I was going through that training. My colleagues were making fun of me. Hey, look at a lady like you, you've completed St. Louis. You know how St. Louis girls are. And you're going to learn sewing? How? That's what people used to say. Even when I completed Polytechnic, some people could make comments like, hey, uko school, wa program biya say adepam. You see, those are some of the challenges. But I knew what I wanted to achieve in life. I knew what my dream was. So I didn't feel intimidated by what they were saying. I just pushed further to get to where I wanted to be. Right now, when they see me, like, they are happy and they are proud of what I've been able to do. and all the glory goes to God.
Wow. Let me ask this last question. Are you married?
Single.
What is the greatest challenge in being a female entrepreneur who is not married? You know, one thing I've heard over and over again, that some men feel threatened by career women who are owning their lives. Do you see that as a challenge when men want to approach you, and because of where you have reached, you have your own business? Does it become a challenge for men who want to come to you? Have you ever heard something like that said?
Yeah, I do hear a lot.
Okay.
But I keep saying that living my dream shouldn't prevent you from approaching me
Okay.
or showing genuine love
Okay.
if you truly love me.
Okay.
So if it happens that you found a woman who has been able to achieve her dream without relying on any man to take advantage of her,
Okay.
and has been able to achieve what he has always dreamt of, why should you be scared of such a woman?
Okay.
You should even be proud,
Okay.
because you could see, you could hardly see women like that. So if you come across such women, you should rather feel proud about them, but you shouldn't let them scare you. We all have our individual differences. It's better to get closer to me, get to know the kind of person I am inwardly,
Okay.
without looking outwards,
Okay.
because the outer beauty can deceive you. But get closer, get to know me inwardly, and then you realize that I'm just a wonderful woman.
I can see you're a wonderful woman.
You know, as I treat everybody equal. I love people, I respect people.
Okay.
So the same way I want to be treated, I would like to do that to others.
Okay. So, what does it take for someone to come and be an apprentice at your shop here?
It's just a matter of having the passion for it.
Okay. So,
Take the step,
what would the
move
person
to
need?
my work. And you know, we have some tools and equipment you need to buy.
Okay.
We have the list there.
Okay.
And then you pay an amount, a specific amount for the fees.
Okay.
And then even if you pay everything, you can make a deposit if the means is not there. And if you're able to buy all that you need to start, you can even start that very day or the next day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what is your message for other young people who want to become fashion designers?
My message for them is being a fashion designer is not just about sewing the garment. It involves a lot. Some people are seamstresses. They just look at the design on the calendar or something someone has done, and then they sew the same thing.
Okay.
But for being a fashion designer, it entails a lot.
Okay.
So go to the right people, pass through the right channel of being a fashion designer, and then have the passion for it. Because if you don't take care, because of the challenges that comes with it, you end up dropping on the way.
Okay.
So the first thing is the passion for it, and you achieve whatever you want to be. Apart from that, determination, and then putting the fear of the Lord in you.
Okay. Do you think the government or governments, subsequent government, have done enough to promote vocational education in Ghana?
I don't see it that way, but I think it's a recent one that is trying to do something like that, and I believe it's going to help the country.
Okay.
Because if they don't do that, it scares people from pursuing that program. You only go to the secondary school, for instance, you go to a classroom, especially when I was doing my national service and teaching practice. You go to class and then you see about 10 students in the class, And even where they are even learning can put you off. I remember when I was in the secondary school, when I was pursuing the visual arts, it got to a point they had to use the chapel for our classroom, the rec hall for our classroom, and even the dining hall. Because they don't recognize that vocational skills is relevant.
Okay, I thought maybe your number was so high. So.
Not because it's high.
Okay.
We had other classes that they had huge numbers.
Okay.
But because they didn't value us, that's what I would say. But if the government comes in and values us, they value the science students, the general arts students, the business students. I can set an example here whereby we have this brilliant science and maths quiz, which is a national competition that goes on at the secondary school level. So why can't the government or TV stations also organize such things in the schools, among the schools? Or, you know, sometimes you need tools and machineries in the schools. That will motivate us to learn more. You can provide these things for the students so that they will find that joy in doing that, pursuing that program. Because sometimes you go to a school and then you realize 3 or 4 people sharing one machine.
Wow.
How can that motivate them? But we want the youth to pursue vocational and technical programs. So we should start from the secondary school. The same way we have started free education in the secondary school, the same way we can start this from the secondary school. Because whatever a child wants to be in future starts from the secondary school. Because the program that you pursue from there will lead you to your dreams. Maybe I want to be a journalist. I just go and pursue general arts. From there, you do whatever you want to do right after the school. It's the same way if I want to be a fashion designer, I'll have to do clothing and textile. A fashion illustrator, I do visual arts. So it starts from there. You provide them with all whatever they need to make learning interesting. Then from then they realize that, wow, so this is how the whole thing is. Then they find that kind of joy in reading that program.
It was nice speaking to you, Marian Mensah, Gifty, CEO of Mensah Couture. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for coming on the Wundef show today.
Thank you very much, Wundef, for the interview.
You just watched the Wundef show, and today we had Marian Gifty Mensah, the creative director and the CEO of Mensah Couture in Obuasi. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every week you have another wonderful interview. Join us again next week.